Good evening. I'm James Taylor, and I'm the moderator for the evening, and I'm representing the Comox Town Residents Association that's sponsoring the evening. A couple of details to take care of right off the bat. If you have a cell phone, would you please shut it off now? Also, if in the event of an emergency, the exit is here. Obviously, the entrance, you came in at the front, and the washrooms are in that hallway that you walk through on the way in here. First of all, it's encouraging to see so many people here tonight making an effort and giving up your evening to become informed about the upcoming elections. It's great to see that democracy is alive and well. A thank you to the candidates. It is a very, very difficult job. You make many sacrifices, not the least of which is your privacy and also probably a complete loss of your free time. You are doing this to benefit our community, and we are very grateful for this, so thank you. When you came in tonight, you were given a piece of paper that outlines the format that we're going to be following, but just in the case that there's some people that did not get that handout, I will go over it briefly now as a reminder. It will work this way. From 7:34 until 8:15, there'll be opening remarks for each candidate, for mayor and for council. The written questions which you have submitted are now going to be sorted on a table in the corner, and they will be put into groups, and then a representative question from that group will be brought forward to me, and I will ask those questions of the candidates. Now, for those questions that are not part of one of those groupings, they'll be randomly drawn. I know that many of you will not get your questions asked because even though we have done everything we can to get maximum time for answering questions, probably only about 7 or 8 questions will actually get asked, but we'll see how that works out. So those questions will be to all of the candidates, not school trustees, but all the candidates for mayor and for council. So the way it will start off is that the mayoralty candidates will each have 3 minutes to make their presentation, and then the candidates for council will have 2 minutes each. At the end of that time, I will pose the questions that you have written out on the cards, and each of the candidates will be given an opportunity to answer those questions. They each will have 30 seconds only, and I know it's way, way too short, but it's the only way we can make it work with so many candidates tonight. Kathleen Bell was unable to attend tonight, and she's asked Leanne Gray to sit in for her tonight. So Leanne, thank you for doing that. Leanne will give a prepared statement on behalf of Kathleen, both at the beginning and at the end, but no questions will be addressed to her. And I will just grab our first question, I hope. Yes, I'll just, okay. All right, so first of all, we are going to be starting with you, Tom, if you would lead off, please.
Thank you very much. Well done, Comox. It's unbelievable to see this many people here tonight. Sorry, I got to use the microphone. I'm Tom Grant, and I'm running for mayor of Comox. I'm one of 3 Grants that are running in this election, and I want to take a minute just to answer the most frequently asked question I get at the door. No, I'm not related to Ken and Margaret. Ken is not my son, and Margaret is not my wife. So with that out of the way, I'll carry on with my speech. I'm seeking this office because I love this town and care greatly about the future of Comox. As a business owner and a longtime resident, I've always considered myself to be very fortunate to be able to take an active part in the life of my community through my business dealings, my volunteer work, and my 4 terms as a Comox councillor. But I believe greatly that it's time for a change. It's time for improvement, and it's time to explore new directions. I'm confident I can bring you those things. I think Comox is a great town. And the greatness of a town can be measured by the quality of the lives of its citizens. And we have a good life here in Comox. We have our parks and our beloved walking trails. We've got the seashore. We're well served by an up-to-the-minute rec center. It's just a beautiful building. We've got a new and modern library. We've got 2 museums, a community art gallery. And our volunteer fire department, I believe, is the best in the country. But all is not rosy in Comox. Things could be done differently and better, and sooner rather than later. You can ask any citizen what we can do better, and you'll likely get similar answers. Answers that boil down to the same thing. People will say they love Comox and its leisurely pace, but it's also stagnating. Where are the pubs? Why isn't there a shoe store? Where's the menswear store? What's happening to the mall as business after business closes? Now is the time for leadership, so we as a community can really do something about the issues that are important to us all. We can do it together if you elect me mayor. The Comox I see is the Comox we all know and love, but better. I see a progressive Comox where you can sign up at the rec center classes online from your tablet. I see a town that welcomes new entrepreneurs and their families to open up a new business and enjoy the kind of work-life experience that many of us have experienced. I see a Comox where the vacancy signs are down and new business opening here, signs are up. As mayor, I will be the best salesman for Comox. I want to attract families who would like to start small businesses here. Let's get the positive energy back in our town and send the message to everyone who wants to hear that Comox is great and there is opportunity here. We can become a vibrant community, but we need action today. I have to end. Thank you.
Well, good evening and welcome. My name is Paul Ives and I'm running for re-election as your mayor for the next 4 years. Thanks to the CTRA for organizing this event and to all of you in attendance on this blustery evening. I not only love the town of Comox, but I've also lived here since we moved to the Valley 22 years ago. We've raised our young family and pursued our careers, and my parents retired here 15 years ago. I'm a practicing lawyer. My spouse Paula is an emergency room nurse at St. Joe's, and all 3 of our sons went through public school here. I've served the community in many ways. I was Comox Rotary President 15 years ago and Chair of the Comox Rec Commission before serving on council starting 12 years ago. And I've been your mayor for the last 6 years. In my spare time, you'll see me cycling around Point Homes or walking what we call the Mayor's Golden Retriever, Hannah, in the Northeast Woods. But enough about me. This election is about you and the choices that you will be making for mayor and council to serve Comox by the Sea for the next term. And the top 3 issues that we've heard them over the last several weeks have been downtown marina vitalization, the Lauren Hotel site redevelopment, and the Mac Lang Begbrook House green space, which we acquired with the Nature Trust a number of years ago. My leadership approach is to build consensus by working with council, senior staff, and the public. When we worked on the community plan, we had 21 meetings over 21 months. When we did the Northeast Woods Crown Grant, we had numerous meetings with Comox First Nation ministry officials. And when we recently implemented the Downtown Incentives Bylaw, we had dialogue with businesses and our Economic Development Society. Public policy making, balancing of interests, public and private, takes time to yield tangible results and requires building of special relationships. Better public engagement has been instituted in our processes of development. And over the next 4 years, the town of Comox will require effective, proven, and fiscally responsible leadership from its elected mayor and council to build better relationships and partnerships with senior governments and stakeholders such as nonprofits and community service clubs, to engage the public early and often on matters of community-wide impact, and to work with the private sector and those who wish to make investments in our Comox by the Sea. Over the last 6 years, the town has become a better place to live, work, and play. Council can always do better by seeking improvements of what we do. It's not enough to say the right thing, but also to do the right thing. How we get there by building a consensus will depend on a collaborative, team-oriented style of leadership. That is the hallmark of my terms as mayor. And with your support, I believe truly that the best is yet to come. Thank you in advance for all your questions tonight and in the next 12 days. Have a good evening.
Good evening, and I'm Russ Arnott. I'm running for council. What I like most about campaigning is that it gives me a chance to go knocking on doors and meet as many folks as possible as I walk throughout the town. Since I'm asking for your support, it's important for me to ask for it personally, to get out, see the neighborhoods, see the folks who are out working in their yards and having a chat with them. I've been doing this since October the 1st, and I've made a lot of progress in talking to a whole bunch of people out there. There have been various comments, suggestions, with one recurring question: why are you running for office? My response is that Comox is my home, and it's time for me to give back. Life has its ups and downs, and about 18 years ago, my family and I transferred here with the Coast Guard. We planned to raise the kids here and then retire here. We settled in, enjoyed our new community. When the kids were young, my wife passed away, and suddenly I was left with a choice: move back to where our family was, or stay and raise the kids here. When the fog lifted, it was clear. The three of us were staying. Comox was our home. I've raised 2 great adults, and now fortunate to be able to watch my 2 grandchildren grow here too. Life has been good to us in Comox. This community supported us when we needed it, and now I have the time, energy, and proven experience to help move Comox towards the future. It's my time to give back. I want Comox to grow in a way that will enhance our lives. I want that growth to be part of who we are as a community. Comox too has had its ups and downs, but I really don't see a whole lot wrong with this town. But still, there is work to do, and we can always strive to be better. When things are going smoothly is not the time to sit back and put our feet up. So if you believe in good governance, as well as protecting and improving our quality of life, then please consider me, Russ Arnott, to be your voice on council. I'm experienced, I'm accountable, and I listen. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I want to stand. Hi, good evening. I'm Leanne Gray, and I'm a friend of Kathleen Bell. And I'm here representing her, and I'll try to relay her speech as best as possible. She wishes to apologize for not being able to attend this evening's event. Over a year ago, she was booked to lead a Canadian market planning meeting, and after deciding to run for council, she tried to rearrange the meetings, but she couldn't. Kathleen is a strategic marketing professional who resides here in Comox with her 5-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son, and her husband Chris, who is the head coach of the Comox Valley Sharks. She has a degree through St. Francis Xavier University and a Master's of Marketing Communication through Schulich. She is regularly called upon for insights for articles in the Globe and Mail, National Post, and other publications on the retail marketplace, restaurant industry, and marketing programs. Kathleen is passionate about helping Comox grow and prosper for current residents and future generations. Her decision to run for council stemmed from many discussions with Comox residents on how a younger demographic is missing from municipal politics. The general public has voiced a want and need to change and growth in the town. Kathleen would like to be a part of that change of leadership. She understands that the Valley is faced with some major issues like homelessness and job creation, which she would like to assist in tackling with other communities. Kathleen also feels that council needs to be responsible to create a model of sustainability and attract new businesses to our community and help current business exist. There's no public plan on the future of Comox, and clearly residents have an interest in wanting their community to prosper. Without a viable strategic plan shared with the goals, there's nothing to act upon to attract more business to Comox. Let me just get to the end. Clearly, I'm not a fast talker. Anyways, vote for Kathleen.
Good evening. I'm Don Davis, and a lot of you here know me. The reason that I decided to run for council one last time, hopefully not one last time, one more time, was because a lot of you here supported me and suggested that I throw my hat in the ring one more time. So if you get a chance to grab my flyer, you'll notice that the first 2 bullets are proven and reliable, committed and involved. I've continued to go to town council meetings. I took 2012 off because I needed to recuperate from the last campaign. I did 2,500 doors and unfortunately still didn't make the cut. So I thought about the only way to keep involved was to keep going. So I've been dedicated and committed to going to town council, keeping current with the issues. Even the mayor coined that me to be Mr. Persistent. So if you want a new face on council with someone with experience, then I'm the guy for you, because I've been there. I keep in touch with the issues. I talk to the staff. I keep in touch with all of the councilors and go out to the meetings. So if you need change with experience, vote for Don Davis on November the 15th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just like to note that when we started here, we were asked to sit while we do this, and some have been standing, so if you see some of us sitting, that's why we're doing it. I would like to thank the taxpayers of the town of Comox for the faith they've shown me over the past 9 years on council. In speaking to the citizens of Comox at the doors this campaign, the biggest issue is vitalization of our downtown. Here are some of the things I have worked on to bring vibrancy to our downtown core. A 0% tax increase for business this year, an incentives program for building in the downtown area. For example, if someone builds a commercial building with residential above, the residential portion can qualify for up to an 8-year tax exemption. This has no cost to the taxpayer. I've also worked on the Marina Park upgrades in connection to the Comox Avenue shopping area, Thursday street markets, a downtown walking brochure, a package of discount coupons for visiting boaters, as well as a Made for Comox economic plan. I've also worked to increase our infrastructure upgrades by nearly doubling the work and still keeping taxes reasonable. We've also increased our parkland and built the #1 fitness center on Vancouver Island. I believe if we continue to keep our taxes reasonable, upgrade our infrastructure, maintain our parks and recreation facilities, get a more vibrant downtown area, and keep Comox a safe and secure place to live, we will have a great community, not only for us, but for our children and grandchildren to enjoy for years to come. Now I'd like to pass the mic over to my non-related Mark Grant.
Thank you, non-related Ken. To begin, kudos to everybody for coming out on a night like this. It shows how much we really care about our town. Hi, my name is Mark Grant, and it's an honor and a privilege to be a candidate for Comox Council. As I talk to you at the doors, your message comes out loud and clear. You care about the future of your town. You're proud and protective of the natural beauty of our forests, parks, and sea, and want this to be reflected in our downtown landscapes and buildings, because that's Comox. You're proud of your town, and you want your children and grandchildren to be proud of your town too. You see this town as a reflection of who you are, and you're right. But I'm also hearing concerns about the hotel site. And you question, so why do we have a sleek, contemporary building that blocks our waterfront vista and just simply doesn't feel like Comox? Your concerns don't end there. 11 years ago, our world changed when our new airport became a reality and we introduced our Comox to the rest of Canada. As a result, we are growing and changing. But are vacancies on Comox Avenue evidence of growth? Obviously not. They speak of a serious problem and demand our immediate attention. We know the business community must be strong if our town is going to survive. You also need to have, you've also said to me that you need continued recreation opportunities. You talk about marina changes, and you're already overtaxed and simply don't want any more. Although your list continues, the important message is you have spoken, and I have listened. With creative vision, balanced sensibility, I will be your voice at the council table. Together, we are Comox.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hugh McKinnon, a Comox resident for the past 25 years and town councillor for the past 2 terms. I hope I've earned the trust and faith of our citizens, and I see being a councillor as a full-time job and giving back to my community, one that has been so good to our family. I again am accepting no donations to my campaign so as not to be beholden to any group or individual. I've attempted to bring a non-politically affiliated open-mindedness to council. My background as a secondary school administrator, locally with a reputation earned as firm but fair, firm with budgets and fair with human resources, I believe has served council well. It is healthy to have balance on council, and as a moderate, I have promoted compromise at times when issues reflected varied public opinion and council opinion. I've demonstrated respect and dignity to fellow councillors, the mayor, town staff, citizens, senior levels of government, which I believe has led to consensus and resolution of issues. I am proud of council's achievements beyond the core services, keeping taxes affordable, our agreement to secure the Northeast Woods as a park, the Town of Comox Ray Crosley Youth Achievement Awards, support of our BIA and their initiatives like Market Days, and continued support of our library, rec center, fire department, and Pearlesque Gallery and Museum. I have defended, when I felt appropriate, neighborhood concerns. I support planned development with early public input. Comox Council needs strong representation at the regional table, so the town does not become secondary at the regional level. Council needs a vision that is shared by its people. Our strength is not just our spectacular geography, but our people as well. And we need to tap into that the creativity of our citizens towards creating a community spirit and creative sustainability. Through my parents and as an ex-base brat, I was taught to love my country and community and to be bold with my dreams. I have a vision and a big heart for Comox, our town, and ask you for my vote. Thanks so much, and hats off to all the other candidates who cared enough about their community to run today.
Okay, good evening. My name's Ian Mole. I'm running for Comox Council. I've spoken with some of you over the last few days, and I've spoken with many others out in the town of Comox. I have listened to what you love about Comox, and I've listened to some of your concerns about Comox. But many of you have asked me what I would bring to this table that would be different and would help support this group. As a professional biologist for the last 25 years, I have worked as an advocate for the environment. I've worked with property owners, I've worked with developers, I've worked with industry, and I've worked with government staff at all three levels of government. It has been my job to understand bylaws and environmental legislation and to work for agreement for all sides on how to protect the environment as part of land use changes and land use decisions. Outside of my professional work, I served on an advisory planning commission for 7 years. I was chair. I believe that I know quite a lot about what can make a council effective, and I can work with this council. Town council is about passionate people with differing ideas coming together to make decisions to make the vibrant community. It's about this group here and about all of you. Sometimes the decisions of a group can take time, and for real community, we have to allow the process to find its own time. This can be frustrating, but part of the beauty of community is the unexpected result that comes out of working together. I believe in listening, in teamwork, and about building consensus. My commitment to you is to be at this table and to bring all of myself, my interest, and my knowledge, my love for Comox, into this process for the next 4 years. Please vote for me, Ian Mole. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Price, and I'm running for re-election. I've lived in my Comox home for 30 years, and with my late husband, we raised 2 wonderful children here. I am, by profession, a planner. I've been active in our community for over 25 years, serving on dozens of boards: transportation, the environment, the economy, health. I am vice president of our regional association for local government. A Comox councillor for 6 years and 12 years elected as a regional director. You can rely on my experience to bring stability, security, and affordability to our town. Community is made up of many pieces. You have to involve everyone to make it work. For me, job one is having strong public participation as we make decisions that affect us all. That's the way I see us supporting neighborhoods encouraging affordable housing that's a welcome addition to our neighborhoods, and creating linkages to our green spaces. Our community is formed from the past, the present, and the future. I will champion our heritage as the foundation of our future, just as we work towards a new role for St. Joseph's Hospital. Adaptation is an important part of the future as we rise to the challenges of climate change. I promise to be responsive today to save major expenses tomorrow. It would be a privilege to represent you again, to continue working to make our neighborhoods better, our downtown dynamic, and our community stronger. Your vote matters. Number 7 on the ballot, Barbara Price. Thank you.
Maybe not. Push. There we are. There we are. Hello, my name is Maureen Swift, and I'm running for re-election as a councillor in Comox. Since first being elected, I have learned a lot, and I'm interested in continuing to put this knowledge to use. In the last election, I promised thoughtful and principled decision-making, and I am proud to stand on my record. In the last couple of weeks, I have personally knocked on over 1,000 doors, and I've enjoyed speaking with many of you. During this endeavor, I have come across people that want answers to specific questions, and others that just want to chat to determine what kind of person you are. Given that issues come and go, and the fact that any of us are only one voice at the table, I thought it might be useful for you as a voter to know a little more about me so that you may determine if I'm the sort of person you would like making decisions on your behalf. I have lived in the Comox Valley for 36 years. I was a teacher by profession and taught and spent most of my 30-year career at Brooklyn Elementary. My husband has a law practice in Courtenay, and together we have raised 2 terrific boys. Upon my retirement from teaching, I became involved with the Comox Valley Hospice Society and embarked upon a campaign to develop some residential beds for our community. Securing the operating funding, which would ensure the sustainability of the project, turned into a much longer process than I had anticipated. But I am pleased to say that our first hospice beds will be opening in the spring of 2015. What I offer is the time, the interest, the energy, and now some experience to work hard on your behalf. I believe that most people would describe me as practical, and I have the ability to come to fair and reasoned conclusions. I'm hoping you will once again see me as a good fit. Thank you.
Well done. Hello, my name is Vivian Webster, and I'm running for council in Comox. I've lived in the Valley since 1980, and I spent a lot of my time as a foster parent, also working for various outfits, lawyers, doctors, Indian chiefs, whatever. I have heard a lot tonight, and I really thank everybody for their intelligent and careful understanding of what's needed in Comox. I think what's needed in Comox is more affordable housing. We cannot expect businesses to open here if there are no people living here that can man those businesses because they can't afford the rents or to buy the houses. We've got children coming out of school wanting to set up on their own. They can't do that either. We need to really consider high-density housing so that we can have people coming to Comox to work and play the way we do. This used to be a very vibrant community. It still is to a certain extent, but we lost logging and fishing, and they had very young families and kept the schools open and the stores filled. Going through the malls now is a little bit freaky in the weekdays because they're so empty. And I do understand that if we don't have more people working and living in Comox, it's going to be pretty bad. There's another thing that I'm really concerned about, and that's the environment. Canada is resting at 58 in a field of 60, only beaten by Saudi Arabia and Kazakhstan for the bottom of the list on working for green. Sorry, I didn't have to say it anyway. I'm finished.
Candidates, thank you for their excellent presentations. I think that we are in great shape here with such capable people running for public office. The next section will be the written questions submitted by you. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to answer the questions, and you did a great job in this first part of being respectful of the timing. I know this is going to be that much harder because 30 seconds is not long at all to formulate a response. The first question is posed by the CTRA, and there has been some discussion as to whether this question is accurate and fair, but of course the councillors are welcome to make comment on that. So here we go with this first question. Well, the 2011 OCP limited building height to 4 stories for all of the downtown except for 3 sites, one being the Lorne Hotel site. The proposed development for the Lorne Hotel is going to be 5 stories, adjacent to a building which is 1 story high. It does not, in our opinion, have a design which reflects the heritage of the town or that site. With these points in mind, if elected, and this is a 2-part question, please. A, would you take action to strengthen the OCP to ensure that buildings in downtown Comox have specific written design guidelines to follow that will reflect our unique West Coast maritime setting and heritage? The second part of the question, what would you consider to be a maximum height of buildings in the downtown area? Tom, we will start with you.
Thank you, James, for the question. We spent 21 months and had 21 public meetings putting together an official community plan. That is a document that was adopted by this entire community. And to go back and rewrite it now when the ink is still wet on it, I think is not the right thing to do. And as far as the height of the buildings, the Lorne Hotel site has gone to second reading, and it would be inappropriate for me to comment.
Thank you for the question, James and CTRA. On the matter of the Lorne Hotel site, at least as far as its substance goes, I have declared a conflict of interest, not because I have a financial interest in that site, which I've heard some people say, but because I'm a good, close friend of the project manager. So as a matter of integrity, I've excused myself from that discussion. As far as the OCP goes, we do have a very strong set of guidelines within the OCP, and I would expect that our planning department and council and members of public will be able to comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. What I think would be a nice thing downtown is someone had mentioned about a facade renewal program. Stop the clock. Yeah, it's not my car. So there has been talk about a facade renewal program. I think that could be a start. But Tom's right. The OCP was something that we worked on long and hard. The question here, would I limit building heights to a maximum of 4 stories? No, I wouldn't in Comox. I think that we're moving forward. Part of the OCP was looking what's needed now, what's looking 10, 20 years down the road. I don't think we should limit ourselves. Thank you.
Some of you might recollect that I got on council as a result of being a member of the Town Advisory Design Panel. And I was very disappointed when that panel was disbanded because the question A might not have been an effect of if we still had the the design panel. So I would ensure that they have a strengthened OCP to ensure guidelines and limit a 4-story building. There was a time in Comox, if you wanted to get elected, all you had to do was say, yeah, I'm going to keep buildings to 3-story. But those times are changing. For as many people that say they want to keep it lower, there's just as many people that think that it should go higher. So the whole situation has to be relooked at.
Thank you. Yeah, we just completed our OCP, and I think that it's pretty good. I think that it does a really good job for what we're doing. I think we've seen a lot of heritage buildings built in our downtown. As for your Lauren Hotel question, I'm in the same problem that Tom and the rest of the councillors are, in that we're past second reading, and therefore we're precluded from being able to answer that question.
Comox is growing and changing. And as a result, part of those changes are going to be a 5-story building. Is it going to fit? Yes, it will. Because the plans, the facade, and everything else is going to fit in with it. It's going to reflect our town of Comox in the end. And so, yes, I think it's an important part of the growth and change that we're going to be facing.
2 points is I would support strongly guidelines that reflect a unique West Coast maritime setting and heritage for our buildings downtown. Like what's done opposite the gelato place there. I think most people, most tourists come there and look at that site, and it's a tourist attraction. As far as the height of the buildings there, I think as councillors we have to look at not just the present, but we have to look at the future and keep doors open. So I don't want to etch anything into stone at this point.
Some design guidelines, yes, but not enough to eliminate personal creativity in the designers. I'm not afraid of buildings going up, but I also recognize that there are height restrictions in downtown based on the airport.
Yes, as a land use planner, I know that design guidelines work. With regard to the Lawn Hotel, I need to go into the public process with an open mind. I will be listening closely at the public meeting that's upcoming and at the proposed public hearing. I have already heard some concern already on the doorstep.
Okay, Council has recently developed a policy that has developers holding open houses in the early stages of their development, and I believe this may go some way to putting people's mind at ease in terms of participation. I prefer not to comment too much on the Lorne because of the public hearing and so on that is coming, and we have identified that site as 5 stories, so I'm happy with that.
I was on the, I attended several meetings for the OCP, and I have to say I agree with the person who said that we made the OCP, let's stick with it. Or change it if it doesn't work, but we can't keep doing it piecemeal. It's got to be one thing or the other.
Thank you for addressing the question. The second question, what are you going to do to address the lack of parking in the downtown area? Won't densification make this lack of parking worse? Vivian, we're starting with you this time and working in the opposite direction. So again, parking.
Having struggled quite a bit to find parking in the downtown area, I really understand where the concerns are coming from. I honestly think that more public transit is probably the answer. A bus every hour really doesn't cut it for many people, especially young people trying to get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, or people going to work. Thank you.
I believe the parking issue is really only a problem in probably the midday hours of the day. After about 6 o'clock at night, Comox streets are empty. So I would encourage all of us to be a little more willing to walk an extra block or two to get to where we're going. We all like to park right outside the door. Thank you.
I'd like to see us encouraging more active transportation and making it safe, biking, walking, scooters, improvements to our bus service, maybe one down to the marina. And yes, I think that the days where it was parking and a few shops have perhaps receded. We need to make our town a livable place, and I think we could deal with it. Thank you.
I suggest that higher residential density downtown will not be a problem with parking because people will walk. I walk to most places downtown. I ride my bike. When I do take the car, I really don't have that much of a trouble finding a parking spot.
I see more and more seniors walking and cycling. In fact, I couldn't keep up with the seniors the other day, and it was quite disturbing. I think we're spoiled here. For those of us that have lived in cities, that we need to park and walk. When we do have major events here, we have those things in place where we have park and walk or ride programs down here. We can get creative and solve that problem.
I share the thought. I didn't realize we had a parking problem. I really didn't. I park the car, I walk a few extra blocks. It's a beautiful place to walk. And if I can't do that, I bring my bike. I didn't know we had a problem.
Well, Ian stole my answer, so I'm going to have to come up with something quick here. But about 2 years ago, I took our BIA and our senior staff, and we walked Comox, and we checked the parking situation. We looked at all the parking spots. We went about 4 different times of the day. We went on a Friday, a Monday, a Tuesday. We found no less than 25 empty parking spots at any given time. I think the problem with it is we don't identify where some of these parking spots are because we've got some hidden parking in our town already underneath some of the buildings and in and around the back. So.
Some of you might see me walking my dog around town. I wear a bright yellow jacket. So as I do this, I notice there's quite a few places where we could just easily move a no parking sign. We might encourage the post office to put some parking spots behind there, and this is not going to do me very well with some of the businesses because a lot of the parking spots are used by business managers and staff, and I think if they could just maybe park in the marina and walk to work, there might be room in the town or for their customers.
Yeah, thanks. Pretty much everybody said what I feel, but I think Comox has made good progress towards keeping Comox a walkable community. When I was on council, we did a lot of work towards bicycle lanes. I think there's a nice balance between that and the roadways now. There's pathways. I think it's still a nice community to get out and walk and meet your neighbors.
Thank you again for the question. Always a question we get whenever any kind of development's proposed. And certainly council is very aware of the issues around parking. But interestingly enough, we passed a bylaw very early in this past term to relax the parking requirements for restaurant expansions and additions in the downtown core because we saw that as an obstacle to business prosperity. So we know that there's parking. It's just a matter of perhaps better signage and certainly getting people to be more aware where those spots are. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. You know, it's often been said that you can never have a rational conversation around parking. Because there's going to be some people who want to drive up to the medicine shop and demand that there's an open parking spot there. There's others that say, let's eliminate the parking in our downtown and encourage alternate forms of transportation, buses, biking, walking. So I believe Comox is well served with our parking spots. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question. I'm concerned about the empty retail spaces at the Comox Mall and on Comox Avenue. What ideas do you have to address this issue? Tom?
Thank you for the question. I have done a lot of research on what can be done to revitalize downtowns. And as a matter of fact, I have here a 5-point plan, a toolkit for communities just like ours all over Canada are experiencing the same situations. And on November 16th, I plan on starting to work with the new council to enact this toolkit and get this town going again. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly, our town is not unique, and many communities across BC and across Canada are having the challenge of dealing with big box retail. And certainly, our residents will go where it's more convenient. Our incentives plan, our parking relaxation, and as well, having more people living downtown should start to bring more customers downtown. And certainly, the festivals and other events put on by the BIA and other organizations will all be part of that. So certainly, we'll carry on with the work that we've done and continue to improve what we can from our amenities point of view. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I think if we continue to move along with some progression down at the marina site, the old saying, build it and they will come, we'll have people come down and see what we have. That will maybe spin off into some niche type markets in the downtown area. The mall, we need to look at some incentives for shops to open up, encourage new ones to come, find a way for the existing ones to survive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, as we walk around, I don't really think the avenue is as dire as people make it out to be. There's only 2 empty shops on Comox Avenue. So businesses come, businesses go. 1 pedicure shop closed, 2 more opened up. The mall is a whole nother story. Maybe a committee of council could go over and talk to the owners of the mall, the manager of the mall, and say, listen, get your rent in order, try to attract business back. Bobby's Deli should not have been forced out of there. There's things that might be able to be done if we just might go and talk to them.
Thank you. Yeah, I outlined in my opening remarks a lot of the things that I've done. I've been on the Business in Action group downtown for the last 9 years, and so we've put a lot of those programs into place already, but I think the real key at the end of the day is to get more density living in our downtown. I think that once people get in cars and they start to drive, they drive to the big boxes. If we can get them, as Ian said, living downtown and walking to the shops, I think that's the key to success for our downtown.
There's a revitalization program that's going on that's marking the basics for our our big growth in the downtown. I see facades and I see a wonderful change in our attitude. We have to get out there and sell our town. We have the best town on the east coast of Vancouver Island, and we need to tell people about it. We have the Lorne Hotel, and that's going to help us as well, because that's going to bring people downtown. Thank you.
One of the reasons that Town Council was in favor of secondary suites was to densify and bring more people and make it more affordable for people to live in our downtown core and closer to services. With more people comes more business and more jobs, and that was why Council supported that. I also think we need to look at, before we pass commercial development in other areas of town, we need to support the downtown businesses first.
I believe that increasing residential density right around downtown will increase demand in the stores. I also think we should really do a Buy Comox campaign and feel proud about spending our money locally.
Well, certainly the changing shopping patterns, the greater big box stores, online shopping have impacted us as other communities. We have a wonderful environment downtown, which we need to promote more events, working with the BIA to bring back Heritage Week. And I do agree with Don, we do need to work with the mall owner and find more affordable rents. Thank you.
I agree with all the comments that have been made prior to these ones, but I think we also need to continue to work with our Made in Comox plan with the Economic Development Society, and we have made an application to enhance the Marina Park, and I believe connecting our downtown with the Marina Park and our airways will really help to increase the density and the interest of people coming to Comox.
I think it might be a good idea to cut the business fee license. I think $150 sometimes is a little bit too much for small businesses to manage every single year. If we did that, then maybe more companies would start up and they could employ more people. I don't know, just a thought.
Thank you for being so respectful of the timelines. Great job. The next question has to do with a shoreline walkway. Can serious consideration be given to construction of a shoreline walkway from the westerly end of Comox connecting to Goose Spit? Vivian, we're starting with you.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
Yes, I will. Can serious consideration be given to construction of a shoreline walkway from the westerly end of Comox to connect with Goose Spit?
I think that's an absolutely wonderful idea. I'm very concerned that our shoreline is being eroded around BC and with high-priced condos going up. So I like to see the shoreline kept for those people, everybody in town, not just the very wealthy.
While I totally love the idea of a walkway that would go from Goose Spit all the way into Courtenay, I realize that it simply is not practical. The land is in front of private property for a good part of the way, and the municipality has no ability to expropriate it for that purpose. So regrettably, no.
It's a great idea, and growing up in England, our shorelines were always available to the public. Expropriation is not the answer. Private property rights are very important. But getting easements when properties come up for redevelopment and piece by piece, we've got many links already through MacDonald Wood, through Maclang, through Baybrook, and linking them through street connections until that final day when we do have it. Thank you.
I believe a walkway is a high priority, but I don't believe in expropriation. I think we should do it with negotiation and with land use changes and work as well as we can to fill in the gaps over time.
The town is already looking at easements with properties. I think we can do a realistic one, and that's going from the marina to Philburg Park first. Start there, start small, get it going, and then it's going to extend from there. The town is already looking at doing that through easements. Wouldn't that be a wonderful start to see, not in our lifetime, but within this next term on council?
In a perfect world, wouldn't we love a walkway that went from Goose Spit to Courtenay? We all would love it. But at the same time, we have to respect private property, and we know that expropriation is virtually impossible. So I'm with you, Hugh. I think that's a good beginning.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been about a 30 or 40 year ongoing conversation in town, and of course you've heard why it's not really possible to do it over private property rights. But I will tell you that coming this spring, I've been working with our staff to mark some of our walking trails and get them so you could start in our downtown or our marina and have marked walking trails to go, and it would encompass many of the areas that we have. So I think we're on the 100-year plan for the walking trails, the waterfront one, but we do what we can when we get the opportunity.
I spoke with a gentleman who was a mayor in a small community just in the Lower Mainland. They acquired a lake shore by taking right of first refusal and buying up the property, subdividing the walkway and selling the property at a profit to the town. If we'd have started that 30 years ago, I think we would have had a walkway by now, but never too late. We can try to start it now, and there are places from Ellis over to the marina that we could maybe do right away. So I'm all in favor of that.
Thanks. Anybody that knows me knows that I've been hounding on people in the town for a walkway for years. When I got in 2008, happened to be the worst economic time in my history, my life. When I was on council, I asked, can we not buy pieces of waterfront property when they come up for sale? take that piece that we need and then sell the rest of it off. It's going to cost some money, yes, but that's one way that I recommended that we go towards this. I think we should look a little further, go along the Dyke Road all the way to Field Sawmill, go into partnerships with the band RD. We need to think outside the box here. Thank you.
Certainly, it's enshrined in our official community plan, the desirability of having a waterfront walkway, and the methods to acquire that have been outlined earlier. The greenway linkages that we see around us, certainly the Goose Grind down to the Spit, and others have all been identified in the BIA's very handy walking brochure. And certainly through Mackling Park, McDonald Wood, Comox Marina, and all sorts of places along the waterfront, you can actually make those linkages. The only thing you do need right now is a good pair of boots. So I would say that it's something we can aspire to for sure.
Thank you. Through my involvement with the Comox Rotary Club, I have worked on every single inch of the walkway that you see. The lookout at the foot of Ellis Street, the access at Jane Place, the boardwalk through Macklang Park, and there's a little bit right around the marina. And it is a great idea, a lovely idea, and we just got to keep at it, small increments at a time, when and where we can afford it. And I know the Comox Rotary Club would look forward to partnering.
Considering that wood smoke creates particulate pollution, would you consider phasing out wood-burning stoves and fireplaces?
Thanks for letting me answer this question first.
Payback time, Tom.
I believe in personal property rights and personal rights. Now, having said that, I also understand that people have health problems, and those, the smoke from the fires in our town do cause health problems. So it's a difficult question, and at this time, I would not look at phasing out wood stoves.
Certainly, it's a source of heat for many people who can't afford perhaps hydro rates and other things, so that's a real challenge. I know the town did ban outdoor burning, and I think that's a great step forward. And I know through the regional district, we also had an incentive buyback program, again with provincial funding. So as that becomes available, certainly those opportunities should be given to our residents. Thank you.
Well, again, those who know me with waterfront walkways knows that a few years ago we had that Save Our Spit. We had the beach fire program that was going to be taken away. I was a big proponent to keeping the Save Our Spit and the beach fires. With that, I think we have, thanks. We have high efficiency units now available for sale. I think it's something that the community still likes to have, and I think we need to continue moving towards grants for these high efficiency units so people can turn their old units in for new. Thank you.
Yeah, that seems like the way to go. Don't force anybody to do anything that might cost them money, because people are having a hard enough time getting by. There's lots of people on fixed income. They have no other options, so we'll do it a piece at a time.
I think I'm just going to agree with Dawn on that. Many people use these for heating, and I'm not a real proponent of banning things. I think that education is a better way of doing it than that. Every time we ban something, there's always problems with it. So I would say that doing exactly what Dawn and Russ just said is probably the right way to go.
Jay, for years, wood heat was our only source of heat. We spent our winters gathering and burning. And I see no reason in the world that we can't continue that with the idea that gradually we will phase these out. Unfortunately, that time when we enjoyed the smell of that wood smoke is gone.
Education, incentives, buyback, and by the way, I've got a bad back from splitting my wood last week.
I have two neighbors in my block that heat with wood with very old, inefficient stoves. I can't open my window for at least 6 months of the year. We need to somehow move and advance on this, and maybe buybacks, maybe incentives, something to change the way it is.
As the regional director, I did introduce the beach fires at Goose Spit, so I know how much people do appreciate having a wood fire. So definitely I say no to banning wood stoves. New houses generally don't have them in, so we're moving in that direction. The RD does from time to time offer programs to encourage more efficient burning wood stoves and a rebate. I think we should look to do more of that. Thank you.
I really can't add any more to what's already been said, except to say I would not be comfortable putting a ban on wood stoves, simply because there are so many people in the valley that do rely on them as a heat source at this time. So we can move away from it, but I think it's going to have to be gradual.
The last study I read on wood stove pollution made a very good point that the newer wood stoves are so efficient that an SUV causes more damage to the environment than the wood stoves.
The next question concerns climate change. Do you think that the town needs to start preparing for the effects of climate change? And if so, what needs to be done?
Yes, 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 yes. I'm very, very, very concerned about the climate change, and I think we could really start off with looking into solar energy, especially for public buildings and public works yards. I'm sure that solar energy will be much more efficient. If I had the money, I would have a solar energy too.
I believe that the town of Comox has been making some good endeavors to address some of the effects of climate change. We are now carbon neutral, and we look every year to how we can continue with that. And recently there have been some opportunities, or there will be in the upcoming year, where our carbon neutral dollars can be spent in the valley. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, very definitely. We know that the longer we leave it, the more expensive it is. It will happen, and there's no doubt about it anymore. The town has made some steps. We just bought an electric car, which is used in town by staff. We have to take into account that water levels will be rising. We have to start planning for a future which is going to be very different. Thank you.
Yes, I think we have to start planning for sea level rise with all development proposals along the waterfront.
It starts with education, and our town has had green initiatives in all of new construction. This building in particular has one of the leading examples in the province of green initiatives here. The electric car was mentioned, carbon neutral offsets that the town looks at. We need to keep moving in that direction.
Climate change is a concern for all of us, and obviously we need to start doing something about it. I think we try very hard in our daily lives to be wary of our climate change and what we need to do. I'm fumbling because a few minutes ago we were talking about the effect of wood smoke and what we wanted to do there, and now we're concerned about climate change. We have a ways to go.
Thank you. Yeah, we signed on to the Climate Action Charter a few years back, and we actually met our goal this year. We've also gone to Green Standard in building. There's a new subdivision that's proposed up on the Pritchard Road area, and that's going to have a state-of-the-art drainage system, so it's going to be a really new way of doing things. So I think we're working in the right direction, but obviously there's lots we can continue to do. So we do what we can. I think we're doing a pretty good job, but we've got to keep on track.
Not that long ago, stormwater drainage was built on a 100-year high water average. And it's now upon us that we're going to have to start looking at the 200-year or even greater high water average. So they have to take a look at building up the infrastructure, and all these other initiatives will institute as well. Thank you.
Well, I think it's important that we're always cognizant of climate change and the effects of it. And that's why I think it's a good reason that we have a waterfront walkway. See, we take that property there and we build it up a little bit, and we have a walkway, and it protects the homeowners from having their yard wash away. It's a win-win.
Certainly the reports are not getting any better. The ones that I heard about today are certainly indicating the real problems, and the time for talk is rapidly disappearing. We must become resilient, we must adapt our infrastructure, and we must, in fact, lead by example. And we've done a number of instances already, and we're certainly going to have to continue to do that. I don't think these weather patterns are indicative of anything other than climate change, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. The town of Comox has been very proactive over the last few years in trying to become carbon neutral and bringing in initiatives to reduce our carbon footprint. The heat you're enjoying here tonight out of that cold weather is geothermal heat that comes to us from the earth for free. We also budgeted, oh, I'm going to run out of time here, so. We are a carbon neutral town as outlined in the Climate Action Charter of the provincial government.
The next question involves changes proposed for the Marina Park. Have you considered improvements to marina parking, the boat launch, and the tidal boat grids? The tidal boat grids are currently so environmentally restrictive that money is flying off to Campbell River and to Nanaimo, where better boating facilities are now available. I know that's going to be a tough question because it's kind of technical, but maybe comments on the marina. We'll be starting with you, Vivian. No, I'm sorry, with Tom. Sorry.
Okay, would you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, I will. It's a complex question. Try to get away from this. Have you considered improvements to marina parking, which is part of it, right? The boat launch and the tidal boat grids. The latter are currently so environmentally restrictive that money is flying off to Campbell River and Nanaimo, where better boating facilities are available.
Well, the boat launch and the boat launching area are not part of the Marina Enhancement Project. We're working on the other side. And once again, the grids to lift the boats out of the water are not part of our initiative that we're working on. So the short answer is no, we're not looking at those.
Well, everyone knows there's no such thing as a free launch, but in any event, our boaters are a big part of our community, and I know they've expressed concerns. We have done some improvements to the parking lot and the launch. We spent quite a bit of money on that. And the grid someday will not be there. We know that. And we're certainly going to have to work with other areas to try to provide that service within the Comox Valley, because we've looked at it, and quite frankly, there's no place to put a haul-out facility here in Marina Park, and we certainly don't want to lose the green space.
Well, it is a complex question, and I'm down at the marina quite often. I have a sailboat down there. I don't really see a whole lot of issues with parking over on the east side. The launch area, that gets congested, but that goes with the weather too. Nice day, there's a lot of people out there. I think you could have it twice the size, it would still be congested. Once we have a few changes down at the marina, perhaps we could look at streamlining the processes a bit.
The trouble with trying to increase the parking in the marina park is that it's going to take up green space, and I don't think that's going to fly too well. The grids, at one time they had talked about putting floating curtains or something in to try to accommodate washing of the boats and stuff like that. I don't know why that fell off the table, but there might be initiatives where we could maybe get a straddle carrier or something that wouldn't be taking up too much room. But I think if we work with the marina users, I think we can come up with a solution.
Thank you. Yeah, it's long been a concern that I go to Campbell River quite a bit, and they've got quite an area set up there, but our marina just really isn't set up well for grids to be able to pull boats out, and it's an ongoing problem. I think Paul's right. We're going to have to find a different area somewhere other than down in the marina park. I also agree with Dawn that parking is a bit of an issue down there, but you know, you take away from green space if you start adding more parking. So there you go.
Comox Marina plan is going to encourage people down to the waterfront. But it is a plan. And that plan hopefully is going to be addressing the problem of the grids and the parking and other things as well.
A simple answer is we don't have the capacity at Campbell River. We need to make do with what we have. Parking is going to be an issue down there. We just have to work around it and get creative in our solutions.
I think there's enough space down at the Marina Park for a haul out for maybe one position for one boat. I think it would actually be an amenity, very interesting place to watch for people down there.
I understand that the boat launch does back up, and sometimes seriously, and I understand that small changes could make a big difference. Having a second place where the boat can moor up while vehicles are returning has been one suggestion, and that Port Alberni has done some good things, and maybe a separate launching point for kayaks and canoes, so it takes away that mixing. Thank you.
I wasn't fully aware that there were some significant problems down there at this time. However, the concept that we have for the Marina Park development will be bringing more people down, but it's still in the initial development stages, and there's some thought to moving some of the access to the marina, the municipal marina and so on, so you'll have to stay tuned.
I didn't know there was too much of a problem down there either. My son came over regularly in his boat, and he always seemed to manage to find a space and parking as well when we went to visit him. But if there is a problem, then we need to look at it and see if there's anything that can be done. I do agree that we shouldn't use any more green space up. Thank you.
Well, I am delighted with how well you dealt with those questions. Well done. It's probably time to take a very short break just to stretch your legs. I would ask you please to stay close to the area where you're seating now, because it's only going to be 2 minutes. So take a minute to stretch. Two minutes. Hey, how you doing? Good. Excuse me. Pardon me. There's a request for more water. Do we have any more available? Yeah. I could just push by here. So much for staying near our seats.
Taking any more questions?
Yes.
Yes?
Not written questions.
Not written.
Thank you. Would you mind heading back to your seats now, please? As a junior high teacher, I would be dealing with this differently.
We've got a couple of chairs up here.
We do. How do I make that work? Thank you very much. That's been a little more than 2 minutes. Could you please be seated? Now, for the next part of the evening, the school trustee candidates have been waiting very, very patiently while the rest of the proceedings have been going on. They are now each going to have 2 minutes to make their presentations to you. At the end of that time, I will go over what the format will be, but just so that you're ready, what will happen is we'll be taking questions from the floor, and people will have to come to this middle aisle. The microphone will be near the back, and I'll go over the instructions at that time. So as soon as the school trustee candidates are finished, you can line up and ask your questions from the middle of the floor here. All right, so Peter, we're starting with you. Each person has 2 minutes, and you'll get the usual warning. I hope everyone can see the signs, okay? Great, thank you.
I'm going to have to stand up. I just can't see anybody if I sit down on this lower level they've got us on. My name's Peter Coleman. I'm a Royal Canadian Navy vet. I am also the father of 5 public school graduates. I spent 30 years teaching at BCIT and Simon Fraser University after leaving the Navy. At the moment, I'm trustee for Comox and also chair of the school board. I'd like to thank you all for coming out on this miserable night, and I'd like to particularly thank those of you who stayed to hear us. We do have an important job, you know. Thank you very much. The school district and schools generally, I think, have had a pretty bad rap recently, and I'm sorry about that, because I think you ought to know, and I'm sure many of you do know, we have an excellent school system. Canada ranks in the top 5 nations in the world according to the best social research organization currently doing the work. We rank in the top 5 nations in the world. In Europe, only Finland is our equal. That means Germany's nowhere, France is nowhere, Britain's nowhere, and of course the US is nowhere. Not only does Canada have a great school system, according to this international research organization, which is not in Canada, I should tell you, we have in British Columbia, if you break the data down on student achievement, we have one of the top 3 provincial systems. In many measures, we have the best provincial system. So all the folks who work in our system deserve your thanks. They're doing a great job with your kids. And I hope that you can re-elect me so that they can keep on doing a great job. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeannie Della Ciega, and I'm running for school trustee in Comox. The reason you should vote for me is simply this. I am listening. I want to bring all the ambitions and important issues from all of our educational partner groups and solidify them into one solid plan. I want to help and be a part of the Comox Valley's public educational system. Our community is a strong community, and that is obvious in how we care for our children's futures. We need a change in our thinking of our educational system. We need to collate our educational system and make sure everyone has a cohesive plan that they can understand and follow. I want to be a part of that. Keeping an open communication system with all of our partner groups is going to bring us into a stronger future. I started by going to PAC and volunteering in my daughter's schools. In PAC, I realized that a lot of really caring parents wanted to help their children's school system become the best that it could be. I then joined DPAC, where I met Janice Caton. Every time she spoke out in our DPAC about the changes that she was involved in by being a school trustee, I was impressed. I wanted to be involved in making our school system the best that it can be as well. When we had our recent teacher strike and I went onto the picket line, I again was impressed by our teachers this time. They really do care. They put in so much extra time into our kids and fight for our children's education. I went to the big rallies on 5th Street and I was blown away by how many concerned citizens were crying out to be heard. I want to be that person who can stand up for what my amazing community believes in. I want to be always listening to what my community is saying, and I want to be a part of this change. If you vote for me, I promise to listen and make changes only to better our public educational system. I promise that I will be your voice. Please vote for me.
Hello, I'm Tanya Frawley. As I finish up my 3rd term as DPAC chair, I'm ready to move towards new challenges that allow me the opportunity to use the tools and further my skills that I've spent many years acquiring. As an extremely active parent, I understand the struggles that our students face as they make their way through the public school system. We need strong advocates to stand up collectively and be heard by the provincial government to create a more viable option for addressing the needs of all the students in our district. I believe it takes a community to raise a child, not just a parent, not just a teacher, and not just a mentor. Relationships are essential in communicating effectively with all partner groups. I have worked very diligently on my relationships with students, parents, teachers, support staff, administrators, and senior management, as well as past and present trustees. I listen very carefully and respectfully while being empathetic and aware of any and all questions that concerns that any person has for me. I consider both sides during discussion or debate. I respect difference of opinions and maintain a measured and objective point of view. Through the many years of being involved with PAC and DPAC, I've had to deal with various contentious and potentially volatile issues while remaining calm and level-headed. I have seen countless presentations, assemblies, and showcases put on by our very talented students, and I have had the opportunity to be invited to attend several educational conferences and be a partner group representative for many SD 71 committees and district workshops. I get to see firsthand what our teachers and support staff are learning and contributing to outside of the school hours. I have also had the great pleasure of being a driving force in putting workshops, speakers, and fundraising efforts together for both PAC and DPAC. Education is poorly funded, and now is the time for us to step forward and say enough is enough. We need to gain support of the public, rebuild trust, get our creative juices flowing, and tackle the financial crisis that is at our doorstep. Our students need us now. I've spent years of advocating for students and parents and would love to continue doing so at a much bigger capacity that includes all staff members. I would be a valuable addition to our Board of Education. Please vote Tanya Frawley on November 15th.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's All Candidates meeting. It's very inspiring to see this many people interested in this year's municipal election. I believe it's indicative of the changes required on a local school board. My name is Chetty McDonald. I'm a local businesswoman with 2 children in our public school system. I have been a resident of the Comox Valley for the last 15 years and a resident of Comox for the past 7. The reason I'm running in this year's school election is, that I feel that our current school board is in need of a change. It requires those who are invested in our community and, most importantly, our schools. The school board needs to have trustees who are willing to be present and accountable to all stakeholders, and in my view, the public education system faces a number of challenges as we move into 2015. Most of these issues are systematic root of one cause, the underfunding of education and the misallocation of resources. I believe my background in business and in finance has given me the knowledge and skills that are required to help effectively balance a budget, and also I believe that I am the person to advocate for better funding for our public education system. If elected as your school board trustee, I will bring honesty, accountability, and approachability to the board. I will be present at school functions, PAC meetings, and in the community at large. I want to be your voice. I want to be available to you for any questions you may have. Sorry. It is more, sorry, I'm going to start here again. I am progressive, I am firm, I am investigative. My responsibility will not only be to our administrators, our teachers, our support staff, our parents and community, but most importantly to our children. They deserve a quality education. They require an advocate. Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you all for coming and for waiting this long. My name is Meredith Starkey, and I'm hoping that you'll consider me for trustee. I'm running like everyone on this panel because I'm passionate about public education. I'm someone who has a vested interest. I'm both a mom and my husband is a teacher, so clearly I'm interested. But also because I believe that my skills and experience gained as a municipal planner would be put to good use on the board. I wanted to run because I'm deeply concerned, like everyone on this board, that I believe that our system is currently chronically underfunded. I see a real lack of commitment from the province and a real outright disdain for teachers, and that's really upsetting to me. I would like to see the incoming school board take more of a social justice perspective in going forward. And from that framework, I would like to see, sorry, I'm really nervous. I would love to see kind of the top 3 priorities that, for me, I would like to see our board, in our actions and our deeds, just try to restore respect for teachers and to expand student participation on the board. I know that students now can make presentations to the board, but I would like to see something more formal in place. I believe that would put student needs at the forefront and also help them gain that experience as being a voting member of our society. And lastly, like everyone on the board, I would love to be a strong advocate for increasing funding to public education to ensure that it's properly funded and it's genuinely public. I think that every child should have access to free education, to the resources they need, the teaching assistants and the librarians and the counselors and all the resources that they need in order to thrive. And so I guess that's my time. So I hope that you would consider me, and thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a show of hands, please, for people that are giving some thought to asking a question from the mic? Alrighty, that should work out well. So again, this central area needs to be clear. We're just getting the mic ready and it'll be turned on in a moment. Now, when you come to the mic, you are welcome to ask questions to any of the individuals here, any group of them or all of them. So they're both for trustees as well as for council. I would ask that you do not make preliminary statements because it takes time away from someone else's questions. Please just get directly to the question. We will open the mic up now. Barb, is it working? Could you just check it, please? Talk into it, please.
Is it on?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay.
All right, so if you would line up, please, if you can make a bit of space for people to line up to ask questions, please make your way to the back and we'll go from there. There is no need to state your name. You can simply ask the question. And remember, please say who the question is directed to. Our first question.
My name is Tony Farrell. This question should be answered ideally by the candidates with a yes or a no, and we can do it very quickly. And the subject is Maclang Baybrook residence. The proposal, as you know, is to renovate the building and replace it with a museum. The city, I understand, would raise it to the ground and put something more appropriate in that area which would blend in with the nature park. To my way of thinking, MacDonald Woods, Brooklyn Creek, and the nature park are jewels for this city.
Could you please state your question?
So the question is, are you for it or are you against it? Are you for the museum or are you against it? So could we just run down? You can just say yay or nay.
Thanks for the question, Tony, but I think it's a little more complicated than yay or nay. When it was presented, when the Maclang Society presented their proposal to the town council, they had indicated that they had consensus from the community, and we've since found out that the consensus might be falling somewhat short or lacking, and so I've encouraged them to go back to the community and seek consensus.
It could be a quick answer, yay or nay.
Excuse me, pardon me, because a question's been asked. Thank you. Next answer.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Farrell. I'm opposed to the current proposal. I believe that the original purpose of that acquisition of that land was for nature park purposes, and I'd like to see that honored. And certainly we'll want to honor Mac Lang's heritage with a suitable amenity of some kind. But I don't believe that restoring that house is going to be in the taxpayers' best interest.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm for what he said. I'd like to. I'd like to see a little type of gazebo building, memory of Mac Lang, and that's about that.
Yes.
I think that's all.
My whole platform is on community feedback. So I'm well on side. If it has to go back to the drawing board and take another look at it, yay or nay, sir, does not work. You have to get more information than that. A lot of people, I don't know enough about your position or the opposite position to make an informed decision. We have to have knowledge before we can make a decision. We can't just say, oh yeah, okay, that's good. You said it, so it must be right. We need feedback from all segments of the community.
At some point, you have to make a decision. That's a nay.
Thank you very much. I think when the Mac Lang Heritage Society came to our council, they didn't realize all the hurdles it would be with our process and many other things that go on. I've spoken with both sides of this issue. I've asked both mayor candidates, whichever one gets in, to set up a meeting with both sides after and come up with a consensus. I think that we could find one quite easily. I think that in talking to both sides, there's some middle ground there, and I think we could do it after the election.
I have to agree with Ken. I've talked to people on both sides, and there's no question that a decision can't be reached just at this point. There has to be another discussion table and hopefully a consensus at that time.
On most issues with citizens, I believe in early public input. And in this case, I don't believe it happened. We sent the Mac Lang Society back from council to do some homework and to come back with some proposals, and they're coming back to us again. But at this point, I don't think the public input has been held in an appropriate way that meets the needs of the neighborhood. So at this point, I'd wait until they come again and say no.
Not a yes and no question. I am highly supportive of the conservation tourism and the nature school idea. Nothing I've read or heard has convinced me that the site down at Baybrook is the right location.
No to the current proposal. And I think we should very much acknowledge the work of the Mac Lang Society, and I think that work can strengthen other things we do in that destination tourism, but no to the current proposal.
The proposal as it stands is currently has been sent to the staff at the town hall to investigate what would be required, and I suspect that once the requirements are more clearly identified, that the Mac Lang Society would be having great difficulty meeting those. From the outset, it was to be at no additional cost to the taxpayer, and I don't believe that they will be able to meet that requirement.
I believe the shoreline should be kept for the people the way it is.
Thank you. If the next question is addressed to the trustees, we'll start with you, Meredith. If it's addressed to council, then we will start with you, Vivian. Next question, please.
My question is for the council. Now that we're back again in the boil water season, I'm wondering who is going to advocate for a deep water intake in Comox Lake for our water supply?
I have only just started reading about deep water intake, so I'm really not in a position to answer your question. I'm sorry.
These decisions are made at the regional district level, and we have two representatives on that board. I cannot answer in any great detail regarding that.
Yes, and it is very concerning that for a water supply of our size that we do have a boil water on it, and we pride ourselves on a very good drinking water. I think there's a lot of merit in the deep water intake, and I think it's something that we should look closely into. It will not only benefit our drinking supply, but it will also add more cold water into the river, which will be of benefit to the fish. Thank you.
I'm not convinced that we haven't. I think we still have opportunities for conservation of water before we need to spend a lot of money on a deep water intake.
I feel like Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison when he got his glass of water. As was alluded to earlier, we have two reps on the regional district that handle the Water Commission decisions there, and I think we need to have advice from them and from staff. Thanks.
And yes, I concur. It is in the regional district's hands, and so we'll leave it to their wisdom.
Thank you. Yeah, I was the chair of the Water Commission, and we did some studies on this back in those days. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. The issues at that time were about quality and whether we would need treatment. Again, it's in the RD's hands. I believe that we have been putting money aside, and as far as I know, that's part of the plan, but I think you'll have to wait till you get to Tom to get the real answer, because he's the chair of the new chair of the Water Committee. So.
Back in 2001, they had a water committee review committee, and a lot of those issues were identified. Deep water intake, raising the weir, and, God forbid, water meters. And all those issues has to be readdressed, and I think that it is a good idea, and I would back that.
Oh, thanks. Like Ken says, it is in the regional district's hands, but we do have representatives that sit on that, and taking the information from them, I think we could make a good decision. The longer we do leave these things, the more expensive they do come. So, it's something that we definitely have to be aware of as the community does grow. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. Up until this week, it only happened once before. I know you said it was seasonal, but we really have to look at what's causing this, and certainly the deep water intake could be part of the solution. We also may be required to do a filtration plant, and we're also going to be doing UV disinfection. As the former chair of the Water Committee, all these things cost money. Between water and sewer regional infrastructure, we're looking at $100 million over the next 16 to 20 years. So significant expenses coming up, and we must remain, again, resilient and adaptive in terms of infrastructure and how it's impacted by climate change. Thank you.
I would ask the indulgence of the moderator to give me a little bit more than 30 seconds, because it's, I'm the current chair of the Comox Valley Water Committee. We are committed to putting a deep water intake in, not to give us any more water, but to give us better water quality. We're putting a deep water intake. We've already know the area in Comox Lake. It's about a half a mile off the beach at the Fish and Game Club. We have been mandated by the Island Health to meet water quality 4321. One is the turbidity. Lately, we've experienced some high turbidity. That's why we've got this boil water advisory. The trouble with turbidity when it gets in the water is that it eats up a lot of the chlorine, and there may not be enough residual chlorine left in the water from fighting the turbidity to get rid of the bugs, the cryptosporidium, and those things that are in there. So I don't believe that we've poisoned anybody. We test the water every day and several times a day throughout this boil water advisory, and our water quality has been good. It's very precautionary. But I want you to know what happened here in the last couple of weeks. I was up standing on the Crookshank Bridge with several people having lunch, and the Crookshank Bridge was more than 10, or the water in the Crookshank River was more than 10 feet down. 13 hours later, that very bridge I was eating my lunch on was a half a meter underwater. So you can imagine all that dust and dirt and silt that's been gathering all summer from a low water supply in the Crookshank. All that mud and dirt and everything got washed down the Crookshank into Comox Lake, and that is our drinking water supply. Sorry for the long answer, but they wanted to know. There will be a deep water intake by 2017.
Good evening. This question is for council. I'm a fourth-year nursing student and a member of the Comox Valley Network of the Association of Registered Nurses of British Columbia. We'd like the opportunity to ask you, how will you take action on the issue of homelessness and lack of affordable and supportive housing in our community? And how will you collaborate with other municipalities to support the development of a Comox Valley-wide response to this issue?
Boy, once again, I get 30 seconds to answer a question. Anybody in the crowd here or in the Comox Valley who knows me knows that in 2007, I was the chair of the Mayor's Task Force on Homelessness. In 2008, I started a nonprofit society called Dawn to Dawn Action on Homelessness Society, and I have got a Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal for my work on the homeless. In the upcoming referendum question, the non-binding referendum question on the ballot, I am going to be voting in favor of donating money through my taxes.
Thank you for your question, and also thank you for your email and the paper that you sent to us. I believe that the town has an effective affordable housing strategy. It's something that we work on with developers as developments proceed, and we've set up a reserve for some future opportunities. We've done secondary suites. We've also had small lot subdivisions. Little known fact, 8 cents of every tax dollar goes to local government. The rest goes to federal and provincial. So certainly we have a role to play in land use planning, and we'll continue to do that. And in fact, many of you already paid taxes towards acquisition of property, which hasn't resulted in anything solutions at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Regarding the homelessness and affordability, I would want to go to the professionals, people like yourself, those out there in the community who work on this all the time. Secondary suites is something that we in council had put together when I was on back in 2008 to 11. That helps both the tenant and the homeowner, maybe a senior, and I think it's a win-win situation for both of those, but again, going to the professionals. Thanks.
I was pleased to attend the social planning brown bag lunch for roundtable discussion on that issue, and this is what I said. Anybody that has anything to do with any level of government in this community knows that they have to go to Cliff for the federal government, to 17th for the provincial government, to Puntledge Road for social welfare, social planning. We got to build one building and get everybody in one building. There's 23 agencies trying to deal with this issue in the Comox Valley. They're renting space from everybody in the valley. We've got to quit making land barons rich and start spending our money appropriately.
Thanks. Yeah, you asked two different questions here, and one was about homelessness. And in any of the conferences that I've ever attended, homelessness is something that we should, I believe, approach on a housing first basis. I think that a lot of these people that are homeless either don't want to be in apartments or they have their own style of living. And I think that if you can get them into a house and get them settled and stable first, then I think you've got a chance. As for affordable housing, we do take affordable housing contributions now, as Paul said, and we do put it aside for future planning.
Homelessness is a problem, and it affects everyone in our community. There's no question that we must do everything we can to make it easier for them. And the only way that they can begin their progress is by having a roof over their head. We have to help them.
Two issues in the question. As far as affordable housing, the mayor addressed that with the reserve fund set up with developers pay into, and secondary suites is addressing it a little bit. As far as the homeless, it's unconscionable for us to deny that there's a homeless problem in this valley. I think that people are fed up with talk about what to do and would like to see some action. I would support council even making donation to the caravan, which is such a wonderful service to the homeless in this valley, and as a starting point for at least doing some action rather than just doing talk.
Okay, I certainly support secondary suites, also would support a tax increase towards homelessness, as well as some portion of development cost charges towards homelessness.
We do need to find a regional solution. In Comox, we are playing a small part towards getting affordable housing. We also desperately need supportive housing, and increasingly women and children are facing homelessness. And when you think of a night like this, it's intolerable to think that anyone would be homeless. I'll be voting yes to the plebiscite, and I encourage everyone to do so. It's a good start in working together.
And Comox has promoted some initiatives with their infill housing, secondary suites, coach houses, and the smaller lot sizes to make housing more affordable for more people. However, I do agree that we do need to have a regional approach to this problem, because it is a problem for the entire region. I look forward to the results of the referendum to know what kind of funding will be available for us to work with.
I'm a very strong advocate for affordable housing, and certainly the Nurses Initiative, and I have been giving out your cards as often as I can. Would like some more if you have them.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a question directed towards the candidates for trustees. One of you, I believe, mentioned that she is married to a teacher. I believe there's two. So one of the questions is, as a trustee, you are in effect the employer of the teachers in the school district. I was wondering how you would answer the question about potential conflict of interest and how you would deal with that in as a school board trustee if you were elected. That's one of the questions. Second one is, all of you mentioned, I believe, okay, sorry.
Certainly thanks. That's a good question. It's actually fairly easy because the school board itself is not directly the employer, but there are questions that may have an impact on teacher salaries or teacher hiring practices. Excuse me. And any time there is a perceived or real conflict of interest there, I would recuse myself from the question.
Yes, I don't know if it's known out there, but I am also married to a teacher, and I agree with Meredith. And if you, some of people aren't aware of this, but the superintendent's husband is hired by the school board, is working for the school district, and I think she does a very good job of staying neutral. Thank you.
I'm also married to a school teacher, and we have been told when we first went up for the meeting to tell us what we were going to be getting into, they did say that they would actually go and recuse us as well as us recusing ourselves, so it's pretty basic, yeah.
To all candidates.
I'm just wondering if it is possible to answer the other question, seeing as Peter and I haven't had the opportunity to answer anything else. No? Okay.
To all the candidates, what would their thoughts be on amalgamation at some time in the future to save all sorts of duplication or triplication of all of our services and the regional district, which seems to be the whipping boy in most instances? Thank you. And each one of you can answer yes or no if necessary.
Before this question is answered, it will be the last question of the evening for us to finish by 9 o'clock. Vivian, I believe we're starting with you.
This question has come up over the years, ever since I've been in the Valley, and I think at this point I would probably say no.
Thank you. While we all want to maintain the culture and atmosphere for our own communities, we would also like to reap the benefits of lowering the costs of governance. And I know the Chamber of Commerce has begun an initiative to do a governance review for the Valley, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the outcome of that is.
When this question came up before, amalgamating Comox and Courtenay, 78% of Comox citizens said no once they had the facts. And certainly Comox has a low debt rate and taxes below average in the Comox Valley. If it's the will of the people of Comox, then I would certainly support it, but I would want to know that Comox had a separate vote to be counted independently and that all the facts were laid before them. Thank you.
I certainly support a review and be very interested to see what comes out of that. Based on the conversations I've had with people, I would vote no at this time.
I support the Chamber of Commerce, Comox Valley Chamber of Commerce request for a provincial review of governance in the Valley. The reason I do so is that citizens need to know the pros and cons, all of them, laid out for them in black and white so they can make a decision. Some people may not know our policing costs are less here in Comox because our population is smaller than the city of Courtenay. As far as combining services and those types of things, I think we need at present to look at efficiencies and combine things like the fire training center or recreational services, etc., before amalgamation. That's part of our duty too as councillors, to look at being efficient. Thank you.
The Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring the governance review from the provincial government, and the information that they will provide us will then make our decision an easy one because we'll have that information. But also I would ask, there is a petition that's online. Apparently they're required to get 10% of the population, of the voting population, to vote on this petition before they will even consent to any kind of a review. So please have a look there, and if you're interested in this kind of information, please sign.
Thank you. Yeah, so another complex question for us. You know, I think there could be some great savings in amalgamation, but I think there's some big costs that come along with it too. Again, I look at the governance review that the Chamber is doing, and I think that if we can get the information, as you said, information is power. If we know and the public would agree to it, then you know, I think we need the review to find out just how beneficial this would really be.
I'm all for keeping taxes low in the town of Comox, and I am not convinced that amalgamation will accomplish that. The 1999 study showed that it would cost the smaller communities more money. So why would we want to take on Courtenay and Cumberland's debt? Do the review, do the study, let the people have their chance to mark their ballot, and for once in our community, let democracy work for us, not us work for you.
Thank you. I think the governance review is an important step to gather information on this, and in the end, it's up to the electors. They are the ones who would vote this in or out. So, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Certainly, policing costs, debt service costs, infrastructure liability are all key concerns. I served on a committee back in the mid-90s, and that led to the vote, which has been referenced. We do collaborate in water, sewer, recreation, culture, and in fact, we worked really hard with the City of Courtenay to try to persuade them that they didn't need another fire training center. If there's a business case to be made, then I think the people will vote with their pocketbooks, and ultimately that's what kind of decision is. So if the province wishes to fund a study, I'm all for that.
Thank you. I too am all for this study because, as Ken had mentioned, information is power. Right now, we don't know what would happen to us if we amalgamated, whether we would save money or whether it would cost money. You know, there's the per capita debt that has to be taken into consideration. Are we going to amalgamate Area B, and once we amalgamate Area B, we've got to start taking care of all our roads. If we amalgamate Cumberland, well, we've got to I don't know what we got to do there. So, thank you.
Thank you. We are now going to hear the closing statements from each of the municipal candidates. Vivian, we're starting with you. 1 minute for each candidate.
Thank you very much for listening to us tonight. I really do appreciate your attention, and I would like to ask you to vote for me. Thanks.
In closing, I'd like to say I recognize the great responsibility and trust that is placed in the hands of the mayor and councillors. Water, sewer, garbage, roads, policing, fire protection, and parks and recreation are all critical services that municipal governments are charged with providing to their citizens. George Bernard Shaw is often quoted as saying that people get the government they deserve. I suggest that people get the government they want. Come out to vote. You have 3 opportunities. I would be honored to be part of the team that you want for the next 4 years. Thank you.
And thank you for coming out tonight. It's a great turnout, and I'd like to thank the organizers for putting this on to give us an opportunity to see democracy at work. I'm asking for your support so that I can continue to work on your behalf. You can rely on me to do the right thing, to consistently question programs and expenditures, to reduce the impact of taxation, and to make our quality of life, and to make sure our quality of life is sustained and sustainable. I ask for your support. Barbara Price, number 7 on the ballot. Thank you.
This evening, we've listened to a great diversity of opinions, and that's what I really believe is the beauty of community. I don't know all the answers. I try not to begin projects with preconceived ideas. I hear the information provided, I do research, I think, and then come to conclusions. Please vote for me, and I will attempt to think outside the box, look at the bigger picture, and do everything I can to make Comox a vibrant and prosperous community.
Mr. Moderator, before I make my closing comments, there's one person in the room that needs some recognition this evening, a retiring Councillor Patty Fletcher, who has served our community with dignity and with intelligence for many years. In closing, with so many grants running in this election, I want to make something perfectly clear, that the McKinnons and the grants settled their differences 500 years ago in Scotland. And we also made peace with the Ives clan, by the way, as well. So there you have it. No. Seriously, citizens, I think most people want their councillors to be like good jurors, like the Henry Fonda character in the movie 12 Angry Men, weighing issues carefully, listening to staff, citizens, and other councillors, coming to a decision based on what is best for the present and the future of Comox. Sometimes saying no at a council table does not necessarily mean that a project, concept, or idea is dead in the water. Rather, it's sometimes simply saying, let's get it right by reviewing it first. That's how democracy works best. Healthy debate leads to better decisions because consequences from a variety of viewpoints have been heard. We need to explore ways to support business sustainability and growth in our town without urban sprawl and respect for Comox's history and character. In the end, we need to move forward with a vision that is born of our council and citizens and shared by all. Finally, I'd like to remind you that Hugh is running for you. Thank you.
I have a very important announcement. Tonight, we are celebrating Ken Grant's birthday. Did everybody know? Yay. And I'd like to thank the Comox Town Residents Association for this opportunity tonight. We've got 4 years ahead of us. We've got some very, very important decisions to make. There's opportunities waiting, and we can do it together. and make Comox the very best place that it can be. I have the time, the energy, and the ability to serve you. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Your vote is very important. Vote Mark Grant to be your voice on council.
Thank you. Well, it feels good to be 29 again, so thanks for that. But I'd like to thank you all for electing me to council over the last 3 terms. And if you do re-elect me, I will continue to build on the work that council has done, strive to keep our taxes in line while balancing that with the needs of the citizens of Comox. I will continue to work with the town and the downtown merchants to bring vitality to our downtown core in order to make Comox the best place it can be. Thank you for coming tonight, and thanks to the Town Residents Association for hosting tonight's event. And it's a little bit unfair that Hugh would point out Patty, because I can't see that far. I didn't know she was here. So.
That's because you're getting old.
Yeah, I know. Older.
Well, thank you for being here this evening. As I said before, I have continued to attend all council meetings, committee of the whole as well as regular council meetings, and often I'm the only person in the audience. So I've kept abreast of the situation, keep in touch with what's going on. By and large, the town council has done a very good job of running your community over the last few years, and hopefully some of the groundwork that was laid while I was on council had something to do with that. I would love to be part of it again. I would love to serve you again. When I was on council, people would come to me with a problem. I'd look into it and I'd get back to them, and they would say, God, I've been asking so-and-so about that for the last 10 years. So you can rely on me. So read my brochure, look for my ad in the paper, find my email address, and I'll send you a flyer. And don't forget, I might be on the bottom of the ballot, but I hope that I'm on your top of your list on November 15th. So if you want change with experience on November 15th, please vote for Dawn Davis. Thank you.
Hi. I really do hope that you take an opportunity to pay attention to the Comox record. Kathleen is going to put in some press releases about radio time that she's going to have, and also she does have a Facebook page for those of you who are on Facebook, and she does hope to do a few meet and greets in the community. She is the new kid on the block. She is a new member of the community, but knowing her personally, I know that she has a lot of ideas and a lot of passion. And we have young kids, and we want to see what we can contribute, what she can contribute to creating a good future and good sustainability in the community of Comox. So thank you.
And thank you for coming tonight, and thanks to the CTRA for hosting this. We've had some good questions, and we've had some great candidates here running for mayor and council. Your council is made from 6 independent councillors. They think differently, and they bring many perspectives to the table. A good balance is what is needed to ensure we get the Comox we all want. We can never make everyone happy, and none of us has all the answers. When you elect 6 councillors and 1 mayor from this table, you will have a dedicated group that will listen and bring the desires of this community as we move forward. On election day, November the 15th, you'll find me, Russ Arnott, at the top of your ballot. So please consider me when you make your selection. In turn, I offer you transparency, hard work, and my dedication for the next 4 years. You can check me out online at russarnott.com. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for everyone for your questions and your attendance tonight. Happy birthday, Ken. Congratulations, Patty, on your well-deserved retirement. We came on to council 12 years ago together, and I've enjoyed every minute working with you. And as I said to my contender here, I will truly miss, no matter what happens, working with him come November 15th. As council proceeds towards a new strategic plan, a new budget, and a 5-year capital plan, it's my leadership style based on the proven ability to bring diverse interests and opinions together to find a consensus and then get the job right that will really matter. I know in my heart of hearts the town of Comox is a better place to live, work, and play under my leadership. And with your support, trust, and vote, I believe that the best is yet to come for the 4 years ahead. Thank you.
Well, I guess I could come back and wish him well in his retirement. I want to thank my thanks to the CTRA for hosting tonight. And if there was some questions you wanted to ask me and you didn't get a chance to, I do have a campaign office set up in the Comox Mall. I'm there from Tuesday to Saturday from 10 till 2, and we've always got the coffee pot on, so please come by. I stand for mayor based on my record of service to the citizens of Comox. 4 times, the people of this town have entrusted me to be their councillor. And that's why I offer you my candidacy for mayor tonight. I believe I have a lifetime of experience and leadership that counts and a clear vision for Comox. Experience, leadership, and a clear vision that I will put to work for you. With your support at the polls, we can make it happen. Thank you.
Firstly, an apology. Quite a few of you submitted questions tonight, and those questions did not have a chance to be answered. Also, for those people who came to the mic, I feel badly for you. It's been a long evening to not have your answers from our candidates. To the candidates, I am so impressed. You've been respectful with each other, and you've really made every effort to answer the questions that were asked and to do it in as honest a fashion as you could, so well done. Some thank yous in order. The evening has gone off seamlessly, both with video and with the audio and with the staging, thanks to some individuals and groups. Bob Wells, Larry Safran, Mike Sutcliffe, representing the MyTech guys, Sound Advice, and Prestige Video Transfer. In addition, One Party Rentals provided these risers for us free of charge tonight and really bailed us out, so thank you so much. Finally, a thank you to the audience. You're respectful. The questions you asked were respectful, and they were intelligent questions. Thank you for taking the time tonight to attend this gathering. And I would ask you, please, we're running about 7 minutes behind. Would you please try and clear this room as close to 9:15 as you possibly can? Thank you very much, and good luck with your decision making.